I don't fear anything.
Hi guys, we're really excited because we have the Masaba Gupta, and I'm really excited because
Thank
you've just kind of changed and made fashion so much fun, quirkier and accessible.
Thank you so much.
And in many ways beyond, of course, the work that you've done, you've obviously broken a lot of stereotypes. But how does Masaba describe herself in 140 characters?
Just a really grown up but very little girl, trying to make a difference, keeping her head above water, and at the same time trying to live a life that's free of controversy and full of peace and love and happiness and all things nice, and trying to be a businesswoman at the same time.
Wow, that's like a lot of
It's a
stuff
lot
to
of
juggle,
stuff.
right?
It is, but it's, I mean, I just feel like I've hardwired myself into being that, and I don't know if I can be anything but.
Yeah.
So if
You're
I had
just used
to,
the chaos.
I'm used to the chaos, not entirely. I mean, just last week I decided to cut back a bit because I think it really takes a toll on you mentally. Because when you sit back and you don't have much to do, you're just like, wait, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like I juggle a lot because I thrive in that kind of atmosphere. But I also think it's very important as women, especially, to cut back.
Now, I always strongly believe that the person you are today is something that's very strongly ingrained in you, in your growing up and formative years. So tell us a little bit about Masaba, the child, things that you feel stuck by, or those 2 or 3 points that really stuck by, and that's the reason you are the Masaba today.
I think I had a very, I would say my upbringing was like a pendulum because, I kept going from, like, I had my grandfather was from Banaras.
Yeah.
And then he moved to Old Delhi, where there's this culture of really fair-skinned, petite women who didn't work, women who never stepped out of the house except for groceries and things like that. And their time was spent in the kitchen and spending time taking care of their men. And then I had my mother, who was the antithesis of that, and she worked, she moved to Bombay on her own, did the exact opposite. And I had my father, who was not even an Indian, and he traveled the world, saw a bit of every culture, dealt with racism very early on in his life and through his sporting life as well. So I feel like I'm a mix of all these things. I'm very traditional, by the way, in many ways, and I'm somebody who believes extensively in karma and God and all of those things. But I think as a child, there were a few things that were ingrained in me. Unfortunately, the atmosphere that I was brought up in was also two extremes. One was that where women are soft-spoken, women are, they're not opinionated. Yeah, and they are meant to be home when the man gets home from work. And at no point do I want to say that women who do this are bad or are bad for society or bad for the feminist movement. I just feel like the power to choose either or is something that as kids you're not given. As children you're taught to be, your mother will tell you to be a certain way, your chachi will tell you to be a certain way. You grow up in such large families, large groups. It's not an isolated upbringing. So I think for me it was a solid mix of being thoroughly modern but also being very traditionally rooted. So I always had a lot of, I would touch my elders' feet and this and that. I would do all of that. Till today I do it. And I would also be the same person who would snap at them if, like, my grandfather said, you've come back from tennis after 7 hours of playing in the sun and you're looking like a Kali, and I would like snap at him and I would be like, how dare you, but then I would go and touch his feet, you know what I mean? So that was my upbringing, and as a child, I obviously let go of that because I was like, if someone's going to say that to me, no matter who it is, I'm not going to touch your feet. I think that's what changed. But as a child, it's very difficult to let go of that conditioning because your thought process is that elders are always right. So you think that being a certain way is right and what they tell you is right, and then until you go out into the world and touch and feel it.
Amount of time I spend on social media.
23 hours a day.
Favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Okay, the one word that defines Masaba.
Strong.
Okay, the one quality that makes me Masaba.
Makes me Masaba?
Yeah.
I think the fact that I'm very individualistic.
I can face anything because
I don't fear anything.
Okay. The name of your autobiography would be
The Masaba print.
Okay. Your never say fail quality.
The fact that I get up and I show up every morning.
Great genes, or you really work hard?
A bit of both.
What's Masaba's first paycheck was?
It was 10,000 rupees from my aunt who bought a sari for my college graduation collection.
Okay, one thing that your mom says when she wants to boast of your success.
Acha kiya.
She doesn't go around telling the aunt.
No, she's not that mom. She acha kiya usne.
The woman you look up to who can face anything.
Many, but I mean most importantly my mother.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.